latte. I just made the most delicious latte. I use almond milk always, and I always put some cinnamon on top. I sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on there. And so this is an almond milk decaf vanilla bean latte. Usually I use hazelnut. I didn't have any hazelnut, so today it is vanilla bean, but oh, it smells so good. It smells so good. I'm definitely a cinnamon gal. If you're not a cinnamon gal, you're not gonna like it. It is the coldest day of the year right now. Let me actually check what temperature it is because it's pretty dang cold. It is -16, feels like -24. That is pretty much as cold as it gets here. I'm in Southern Ontario. So when it is this cold, we got a bundle because we gotta stay warm. And I also live in a really old house, and so it's really drafty and just doesn't hold in heat that well. You know what I mean? So I am cuddling up on the couch with a big comfy blanket with a warm latte. I encourage you to do the same, or prop me up somewhere while you are cleaning up the kitchen, while you're getting ready for bed, while you're getting ready in the morning, wherever, just prop me up and let's just chat for a little bit. If this is the first time you've ever seen my face, my name is Sydney. I'm a perinatal athletic therapist and postnatal fitness specialist. On this page, we talk all things perinatal, whether that's preconception, pregnancy, postpartum. We talk exercise, health and wellness, all of that good stuff. But currently I am in my second trimester, and so I am taking you guys through my own personal perinatal journey and the things I've experienced. I talked about preconception and conception and kind of the things I would do differently or the things that I wish I knew in regards to that process. I'm talking about pregnancy in general. I'm doing kind of a week-to-week sort of thing. The things I didn't know about pregnancy, all that kind of good stuff. And we're just gonna carry right on through to the end of pregnancy and into early motherhood. So if any of that was a long intro. If any of that is of interest to you, please subscribe and join my little community here. We're having a good time. If you are currently pregnant, I would love to know where you're at and what you are experiencing, because it's so crazy to me how different our experiences are from person to person. And I like working with pregnancy and postpartum all the time. I know that it's so different, but when I'm truly experiencing it, it's so interesting to walk through with other women who are also experiencing pregnancy at the same time, but they are going through a very different experience. So I love to know what's going on. So if you're pregnant, let me know where you're at, what you're experiencing, and also like any of the interesting things like cravings or food aversions or anything like that. So as the title of the video says for you, we're gonna do a little bit of a first trimester recap today. So for those of you who haven't seen my week by week videos, or maybe you aren't interested in watching those videos, this will kind of give you all the details of what I've experienced throughout my first trimester. And I'm also going to talk about my first midwife appointment as well, because I don't think I've talked about that yet. I don't think I have. So let's get into it. So I am 14 weeks today. Look at that little bean. 14 weeks today. And okay, this is the best thing about these apps is they tell you like what's happening at each part of pregnancy and what's developing at different stages. So today at 14 weeks, we want to be approximately 15 centimeters long. The fetus is equivalent to the size of a peach currently. So we are in peach territory right now. Baby is currently forming toenails. Isn't that interesting? Now that you're 14 weeks, your baby is starting to form tiny toenails, which will be fully developed by 36 weeks. And baby is also forming fetal red blood cells. So that's exciting. So I'm at 14 weeks. Now, the internet, Google, I'm not gonna say research because I didn't research, seems to have a bit of confusion as to when second trimester actually starts. In looking it up, something said 13 weeks, something said 14 weeks, something said at the end of 13 weeks. I don't know. I'm in second trimester, that's all I know. At 14 weeks. Now, if you have been following me for a while and you've seen some of my other videos, some of this will be a little bit repetitive, but I just want to give you guys a little bit of a timeline, sort of what I experienced. So I found out I was pregnant at 4 weeks and 4 days, I think, something like that. 4 weeks and 3 days, a little over 4 weeks. And at that point, the only thing I experienced was really sore and tender breasts. Other than that, I wasn't really experiencing anything at that point. And I think when I started to experience a lot of different things was closer to 6 weeks. So at 6 weeks, I think it was actually just before 6 weeks is when the exhaustion and the nausea started. Both started like, bam, welcome to 6 weeks, or you're entering 6 weeks. Here is some crap for you to experience over the next little while. So the nausea and the exhaustion really were the two biggest things that I experienced kind of throughout my entire first trimester up until maybe 12-ish weeks. 12-ish weeks is when things started to sort of fizzle away a little bit. In regards to the nausea, I never really had a lot of vomiting. I had some here and there, and I think it's mainly because I was just gagging. Like, I don't think I was actually vomiting because I was nauseous. I think I was vomiting because I was gagging, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's making any sense. But it wasn't like, oh, I feel sick, but it was, I feel sick, and I just did that a bunch of times basically until I puked. So I think that's more so what the vomiting was for. But like I said, it was very sporadic. It was not consistent. It was not, I did not experience it on a regular basis, nothing like that. So I'm very thankful for that. I'm just gonna pull out my notebook because I was like, oh, I got this. I know exactly what I'm talking about. So I have been recording everything in a notebook. I've been recording all my symptoms, all of my appointments, details of my appointments, details of my ultrasounds, all that good stuff. So it's all been in here. The other thing I experienced really early on was chapped lips. That was a little bit bizarre for me. I just wasn't really expecting that. I still have it a little bit. I'm not someone who usually uses even like chapstick very much. So yeah, I've been experiencing a lot of chapped lips. Now it is winter time. So whether or not that's related to the weather, I don't know. Whether or not. Okay. Around 6 weeks is also when food aversion started. Eggs were a big thing that I was like, cannot eat. Red meat was something that I still, that I couldn't eat. And then I just didn't have an appetite. There was nothing I wanted to eat. Like I could not, at any moment of the day, if someone said, what do you want to eat right now? There's nothing that seemed appetizing to me that I wanted to eat. So I was eating a lot of snack plates. Just like some sliced cheese, some sliced meat, a little bit of fruit, like just to get some variety into my diet, like lots of crackers, like those kinds of things. Around week 7, I started taking red raspberry extract that was prescribed to me by my homeopath. This was something that did help. I would say it helped in regards to the nausea. It's something I've kind of been taking not as regularly as I should, but I have been taking it throughout the weeks, and it's something I will continue to take up until I deliver. Week 7, I also experienced a little bit of spotting, which really freaked me out. And I did film a week 7 video explaining that entire process and what I experienced there. Everything was fine, but I did experience a little bit of spotting. And I also had a little bit of cramping, mainly in the evenings and also mainly on my left side, like really lower abdomen, but nothing to write home about. Like it wasn't really painful. I just noticed like, oh, there's a little bit of cramping there. Around week 8, after I had gone to the doctor for the first time, I started taking diclectin. He did prescribe diclectin for me, and he said, you can feel free to fill this prescription if you want to. You don't have to. I started to get a little more nauseous, and so I decided to just go pick up the prescription. I've been taking 1 diclectin every night before bed along with my prenatals, and so I know that 1 diclectin is not a whole lot, and so that tells me my nausea was very, very, very mild compared to what a lot of people take. There are some people that literally take 4 a day. So I was taking just kind of 1 every evening. That really did seem to help though, especially as we entered Christmas time, because I was around 9 or 10 weeks at Christmas and I had a lot less nausea and I was a lot more willing to try some new foods that I hadn't had, like beef. I did have some roast beef. It was okay. I didn't love it, but it didn't make me want to barf. So that's a win, I guess. I had my first ultrasound at 8 weeks and that was just amazing. That was just like the most incredible thing to see baby's heartbeat, to just see that, get that verification that there's a baby in there. Like for the first 8 weeks, you're just kind of like, I think I'm pregnant. Like I'm pretty sure I peed on a stick and it was positive. And up until then, you don't have any verification. And so to actually see the gestational sac and the little fetus growing in there, it was pretty amazing. So the first ultrasound was really awesome. My husband was able to come with me. He was able to see the fetus as well. And yeah, that was a really awesome experience to have. Again, I filmed all of these things in a little bit more detail. So if you want to know more about the specific details of each thing I experienced, go find the video. Like they're all in my playlist, my perinatal journey. And the big things like the spotting, the ultrasound, like all that kind of stuff is all, it's all written in the titles. So please feel free to go find whichever one you want more information on. Now around weeks 10 to 12 is when my nausea subsided, my fatigue subsided. Overall, I was feeling much better and much more like myself. My food aversion started to go away so I could eat a little bit more, but I fainted. Now, I have also filmed a full video on this. At this point in time, like I'm filming this at 14 weeks and I think my YouTube videos that I've posted are only at 8 weeks right now. So it will be a while until you guys see this video. So hopefully the fainting video is already up by that point. So go and find the video all about my experience fainting at 11 weeks. That was not a fun experience, but I'm very thankful that through that experience, my doctor sent me for lots of testing. He sent me for an ECG, an echo, and some blood work to make sure there was nothing that we need to worry about. And luckily everything has come back perfectly normal. So yeah, we don't really need to worry about that right now. Then we had our enhanced first trimester screening, which is essentially the genetic screening to check baby for any sort of like neural defects that they might have. Things like spina bifida or Down syndrome or trisomy 18, like there's a whole list of them. And I did keep that appointment. That is an ultrasound and a blood test. And I did keep that appointment because I had fainted. I was like, I just want to make sure baby is growing as they should, that everything is just good to go and we don't need to worry about it from that standpoint. So we did have an ultrasound at 13 weeks and I thought the first one was incredible. This one was incredible. At 13 weeks, baby has arms and legs and is moving around in there and kicking all over the place. And we could see like baby's stomach, we could see baby's brain, like we could see all of the things that are supposed to be developing on our baby, in our baby, for our baby. And it was amazing. It was amazing to see that baby just moving around in there. It was frustrating because the ultrasound tech had a really hard time getting pictures. The genetic testing is something that has to be done. They need very specific pictures for it. And so it did take a while for her to get the pictures that were needed because baby just would not stop moving and then moved into the wrong position and all that kind of stuff. But it was amazing. And again, my husband was able to see the baby, was able to come into the ultrasound with me, which was really good for him because it just makes it more real for him. Like for him to be here supporting me, you know, watching my belly grow and things like that is one thing, but to actually see the baby on the screen for him, I think was really like oh my goodness, like we are going to have a baby moment rather than just like Well, yeah, my wife's pregnant. Like it was amazing to see that. The other thing, there's a couple things actually that I forgot to mention. A couple things throughout the first trimester. Discharge during the first trimester is goopy as ever. It is like it's more goopy than that like ovulation egg white goop. It is like thick, mucousy goop. It is so weird. So sorry if that grosses you out, but just so you know, you're gonna have super goopy discharge. The other thing I wanted to mention too is a massive change in libido, like massive. I am someone who has a pretty high libido to begin with, and I'm pretty much ready to go at any time. And during pregnancy, not even interested, at least during first trimester. And I wonder if that's just because I was feeling crappy. I didn't have any energy, but like not even the tiniest bit interested. And lastly, I am so thirsty all the time. I just want water all day long. I'm just so thirsty all the time. So that's my first trimester recap. I just did kind of Cole's notes, talked about it really quick. Just in case any of you are interested in like the Cole's notes versus each individual. I think I've been doing like every 2 weeks kind of thing. If you want more information about any of the things that I did talk about, it is explained in detail in all of those other videos. So please feel free to go find those. Okay, let's chat briefly about my first midwife appointment. So I chose to go with midwives over an OB because I just really love the support for a physiological birth a lot more than a medical birth, if that makes sense. Midwives support your ability to labor on your own, for your ability to deliver on your own, and those kinds of things, as long as obviously it's safe for it to happen and and as long as there's no risks associated with that with each individual. But I have attended a birth with midwives, and it is truly so very different from the births with a lot of OBs. Some OBs are different, but a lot of OBs don't treat birth as physiologically as that. They treat it medically. So I got to my midwife appointment, and my midwife brought me in. I've already met her in the past. She is lovely. Her name is Karen. She's amazing. She brought me into the room, and then first she just kind of asked me like, why midwifery care? Like what are you trying to get out of midwifery care rather than obstetric care? And I kind of explained to her, you know, similar things that I just explained to you. And she kind of explained to me the history of midwifery in Windsor, because midwives have honestly not been in Windsor for that long. Like I want to say it's been like around 30 years that midwives have been in Windsor. And so she just kind of explained to me the history of that. And then she kind of went into reviewing all of my medical history, reviewing my husband's medical history, and making sure there's nothing there. There's no red flags we need to be aware of, nothing like that. Both of us thankfully have nothing within our families that are genetic that we need to sort of watch out for. Like, for the most part, everything looks like it should be perfectly fine. We have no risk factors for anything. Then she kind of went through all of my test results from I've had multiple blood tests. I've had urine samples. I had the ECG. I haven't had the echo yet. I have an appointment for the echo. I just haven't got it yet. So she went through all of that, all of those test results that had been sent over to her. Everything looked good. And so she's really happy about that. And then this is what struck me. Then she asked me about my personal life at home, and she asked me if I feel safe at home. She asked me if I have access to good, nutritious foods. She asked me if I feel comfortable talking to my partner about the things that I'm experiencing during pregnancy. She asked me about my home in the sense of, if you are not safe and you don't feel comfortable, we need to find a way to make you that way. And it blew my mind, because no way in heck OBGYNs are asking that question. Like, there is no way, unless, I don't know, like some of them might be asking that, but that was something that just really stood out to me. And I thought, wow, like, but the fact that they're asking it is just, yeah, I thought it was amazing. We talked a little bit about sort of where I would want my birth to be. I told her I wanted to be in a hospital. We didn't talk a whole lot about like birth plan type stuff. That is something for later. So we didn't talk much about that. But we did, yeah, we just kind of talked like sort of surface level things, in regards to care over the next 8 months, 6 months, 7 months. The first appointment was fairly surface level. She did talk to me a little bit about my diet, anything specific that I need to make sure I am taking and stuff like that. She said, a lot of us, especially this time of year, don't get enough vitamin D, so I need to be supplementing with that. And yeah, that was pretty much like the conversation part of it. And then she said, do you want to see if we can hear the baby's heartbeat? And I was like, that would be awesome. I would love to do that. And she knows that I'm a practitioner. We refer back and forth all the time. So she, you know, they don't do this with a lot of people because, especially with a fetal Doppler, it can be very hard. And especially at 12 weeks, it can be very, very, very hard to find the heartbeat, and it freaks a lot of people out. And so I know that it takes a little bit. And so I was like, yeah, go ahead. You can try to find it. Go ahead. It did take her like 5 or 6 minutes. So laying there for 5 minutes while she's trying to get the heartbeat, I absolutely see how it can be a little bit stressful for some people. But anyway, so she found the heartbeat. She was trying to see how fast the heart rate was and actually get a heart rate reading, but baby kept moving all over the place. So she had to keep, you know, chasing baby around. And then she did eventually find it, and it was at about 150 beats per minute. So it was so awesome. It was so awesome to hear that. That was so cool. Then she basically gave me the requisition forms for some additional blood work, some stuff that was missed on my prenatal blood that I had got taken. So she gave me additional forms for that. She gave me forms for my enhanced first trimester screening, and I think it was something else. She gave me those forms essentially so that I didn't use my doctor's forms, so that everything would go directly to her instead of to my doctor and then to her. So that way she will just receive everything that that I have done anyways. So yeah, that is how my first midwife appointment went. And I'm really, really excited to talk to her a little bit more the next time I go in a couple weeks and talk a bit more about, you know, my birth plan, the things that I am hoping for, not hoping for, all those kinds of things. Talk about my birth team. I will have a pretty awesome team. I'm really excited about it. So that's first trimester and my first midwife appointment. So far things are going really well. I have definitely had a couple scary moments that were not fun, but we're all okay. Everyone's okay as far as we know, and that's really all that matters at this point. My goal throughout this entire pregnancy, regardless, has been to reap positivity as much as I can. You know, when I look at myself in the mirror and when I think about this baby and all these kinds of things, I try not to let a single negative thought enter my head. What's happening in my body right now is the most incredible thing that will probably ever happen unless I have another baby. I'm so overjoyed and I'm blown away by what's happening, and I'm so excited. So anyways, thanks for joining me for this video today. I know it was kind of just a really quick sort of Cole's notes, what's going on in regards to, or what was going on in regards to first trimester, and then sort of what happened at my midwife appointment. So if you guys have any questions or you want to chat about anything, please feel free to leave any comments below and I'll get back to you. But other than that, thanks for joining me today, and I will talk to you guys soon.